Oh yeah, he's back. The crack of the bat, the ping of the crossbar, and the roar of the crowd. We cover everything you want to talk about. It's the Rod Pedersen Show.
All aboard! Welcome to the Rod Pedersen Show. The train's leaving the station, guys and gals. Welcome to Canada's morning sports talk show. Episode number 217 of the Rod Pedersen Show is on the air. I'm Rod. He's Darren. How you doing?
Doing really good.
Good. Ready to have some fun?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot of things to cover today here on the Rod Pedersen Show. I noticed that it's top-down time.
Yeah.
Looks like we're going to hit double digits in terms of weather today. Our director, Jordan's got his Miata out of the barn.
Ooh.
And people are starting to ask me where Big Bird is. So, hey. We might be turning a corner around here to better times. What do you think?
I hope so. I really hope so.
I'm going to try to say hello to as many people as I can on the Facebook wall as we roll here. Les Lazaruk, voice of the Saskatoon Blades, my brother from another mother, checking in. Good morning, guys. Listening, sort of watching off my phone from my work desk. Thank you, Les. Good morning to you from Saskatoon. However you may be accessing this show, appreciate you checking in this morning and joining us for coffee. I said to Darren that I think that our live audio feed numbers are going to jump up here with seating right around the corner. Farmers in the field this time of day.
Yes.
There's no sports talk on for miles live. Except for us this time of day.
Oh, yeah.
So let's go. Today's program today, Shea Emery, CFL Grey Cup champion. You all remember him mostly of the Argos and the Alouettes. He spent 30 good minutes with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Shea Emery will be with us. Good friend. A lot of stories out of Shea. He'll be joining us from, I'm sure, Vancouver. Is that where he is, Clark? Talking some CFL, talking stories, you know. Nick Lewis, CFL receiving champ for a time. He's going to be with us. This is all on video chat, of course, as we continue to observe social distancing. Former NHLer Sean Bell, which may not mean a lot to you, but hear us out. Sean Bell's got a hell of a story. A hell of a story. Spent good time in the NHL, great time in the WHL. Sean Bell will be joining us from Edmonton. And Mark Gregg, former NHLer. His son, Ridley Gregg, was our featured Sask Snowy prospect last week of the Brandon Wheat. Mark Gregg, NHL vet and current scout of the Philadelphia Flyers, will be joining us today to chat hockey. Are you ready to roll with the quicks? Well, Roxanne Theris writing in. Roxanne, good morning from Rockstar Supply Chain Solutions. She puts the rocks in Rockstar. She writes in and says, good morning all from the offices at Rockstar Supply Chain Solutions and the highway to Esterhazy. Her husband Darnell was just in here dropping off some of the Lucky Bastard Distiller hand sanitizer. One of the handful of companies that have been sanctioned by the government to safely provide hand sanitizer at this time.
Yeah.
Lucky Bastard Distillers.
It's a good face to see, and businesses love when they show up.
John Heaps writing in and says, tarps are off at Deer Valley. Tarps off. I'm telling you, it's a great day.
It is.
Sun shining, and away we go. We're trying to lift the depression as much as we can. Do you have anything to say before I get to the quick six?
No, let's go.
Anything? Shorts weather?
It's shorts weather. Jared Dumba is about my blouse. Yeah, it's not.
I like it. Nice
Jared,
blouse.
Yeah, I see you. But no, it's great.
I just turned red.
I can't wait because today it's actually going to be it's supposed to be above 20.
Yeah.
Today, and we've had a couple of days over the weekend that were into double digits, but it was so windy and cool. So looking forward to getting outside.
From John O'Flynn writes in, he says, city of North Vancouver shining brightly. The sun is shining all across the land. And if I may, before I get to the quick six, because we've got some pretty salacious show topics to get to here in the Rollout for Flooring Superstore, I do have to say something. I laugh so often about this. Jared Dumba and I, this is our hockey analyst, 10-year pro, Blades and Hounds alum. We were walking around the lake, I want to say 3 weeks ago. It was early on in the pandemic.
Yeah.
And don't at me, people, okay? I'm going to tell a story. We are our distance apart, our appropriate distance, and this older couple came along and they were like poking their canes at us like this. And you know this story. I haven't really told this on the air yet. And we got closer to the older people and I was like, what's this? They're like, get back, you get back. You guys think you're invincible. Get back. And I'm thinking, if you're that worried about your personal safety, You should stay home. This was before the province had declared the state of emergency.
Yeah.
Where walking around the lake wasn't going to get you publicly shamed as it is now. But I'm seeing this stuff all the time. People are taking a lot of glee at shaming people.
Yes. And now the latest one, and I don't know exactly where I stand on it. Where I stand on these things is I want to make sure that I'm being safe and that I'm not endangering other people and that I'm not being rude or offensive to other people's concerns, right? If I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable, but I'm seeing on social media people getting so upset because two people went to the grocery store together. Now, I know
what I was thinking.
Not recommended in a family because you want to limit, your exposure, but there might be some reason why you need both of you there. I don't know, but everybody's so concerned with everybody else's situation and circumstance and not so much about their own.
The finger wagging.
The finger wagging.
They're loving the shaming. And I'll say this. I went to my neighborhood gas bar yesterday, and I love the ladies there behind the till. And, of course, I talked to them through the glass, and I said to them, are people getting better or are they getting worse? Because a month ago, I remember telling you that the lady got in an argument over the change, right? The lady's like, is that change that you're giving me been sanitized? And the cashier was like, well, the $20 you gave me wasn't. And that was a month ago. So I said to her, are people getting better or are they getting worse? And she said, they're getting worse. They're tired of being cooped up. They don't know why they're cooped up.
Yep.
In terms of the numbers of people infected versus the number of people that aren't, and they're getting ruder. So I think people haven't learned their lesson yet. So until you learn your lesson and learn to play nicely, it ain't gonna end. That's what I think.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I do.
That's just my take on it.
I do.
Grow up, be kind to each other, and then God will wave his wand and it'll be over. And we'll get back to playing.
Yeah.
That's what I think is going to happen. Don't at me.
I don't. It's hard to disagree with that. It really is.
Donald Mitchell, our Navy friend, writes in, says, sun's not shining in Ottawa. You guys' job is to cheer us Easterners up. So let's go with the quick 6 show topics here in the Rollout for Flooring Superstore. Point number 1. I'm going a little off the board here. You won't see this coming. Brendan Shanahan on TSN Overdrive yesterday, the afternoon sports talk show, saying he's very optimistic that the NHL season will conclude. He said that the NHL has far more flexibility than people even realize. This on the heels of the great one on the weekend saying the same thing, that he's optimistic. Do you think these guys are talking out their arse or that they know something?
These are hockey people to their core, right? And now both Brendan Shanahan and Wayne Gretzky, when they were playing and now out of the game, I think are two well-respected, well-read, educated, influential people in hockey. And no, I don't think they're talking out their back end. I think they're onto something. And they're right. They won't just say that. They're in these meetings. They're having these conversations on a daily basis. I believe it.
I believe it too. And I'm seeing the people. This goes to my weekend column where I said, don't get caught up in the expert analysis, the gobbledygook, the bunk, the people that say, oh, it's been over a month since they played. They can't come back now. And who are you to say that?
Yeah.
If Gary Bettman says, boys, we're playing. Hey, the Nets will be back on and away we go. You know that they want to, so don't. Just be careful who you listen to, because a lot of people are relishing being negative Nellies right now.
Well,
Debbie Downers.
Are they ever? And that's part of it too. Is
they just like being negative.
They just like it. They enjoy it. But we talk about the ability to be able to come back, and hockey has a little bit easier chance. Yeah, we have tournaments. I mean, you play 3-4 games a day, and in the NHL, you could play multiple games a day on the same sheet of ice, because guess what? We're not working. So every time is prime time, right? Prime time is about when everybody's home, sitting in front of their TVs and not out working or not, taking care of the kids and doing that kind of thing, or whatever they do during the day, their normal work day. Well, without a normal work day, the afternoon is prime time. Everybody's in front of their TV.
Nelson Hakowicz writes in, one of our P1's Priority 1 viewers says, same with the Riders sending out that letter to season ticket holders. You don't think they know something? Riders sent out the letter saying good news is around the corner. I'm paraphrasing, but I think it's important to stay positive more than anything. Part of the reason there's so much depression out there is, what do you see? I miss sports. I miss sports. There's not going to be any sports. So you can be positive or you can be negative. Sooner or later, you're both going to be right.
Yeah.
From David Asplin says, good morning from Winnipeg. Dupes, that hair flow is on fire. It's lit. Look at that hair. I know our audio listeners can't see it, but Darren has to flip his hair for as long as he can because come September, when the kid by the name of Connor Bedard comes to town, your pompadour is going to be old news.
Yeah.
You're not going to have the most famous pompadour in town.
Be in trouble. That's okay. The kid's pretty good, too.
That's right. What a flow on that kid.
I know. It's impressive.
Nice of Winnipeg to recognize your flow today. I had to buy mine. Moving on, point 2, Max Pacioretty of my beloved Vegas Golden Knights. This was a point yesterday that I brought up, and we never deliberated. I want to spend 60 seconds on this. He says this will be the hardest Stanley Cup to win. The Golden Knights are already in a playoff spot. They're leading the Pacific Division. Last we checked by 3 points. I don't think that's changed in the last month over the Edmonton Oilers. We love the Stanley Cup playoffs because it's a war of attrition, like a literal absolute war out there. And the last man standing wins. He makes a good point. Everybody's getting healthy now. They're not all going to come back in great shape. Maybe the team that gets in shape the fastest wins the Stanley Cup. Do you think it's going to be the hardest Stanley Cup to win?
It's going to be the hardest to predict. That's for sure. When you look at, I would compare this to when we made our predictions for the Stanley Cup back in the beginning of the year. And I had to go back to remember who we even picked to be in the Stanley Cup. I know I picked Florida on one side. So if it ended today, if they cut the standings off and put the top 8 in each conference in the playoffs, I don't think Florida would be in.
Who the hell did you have?
I think Florida was on one side.
The Blues? Did you have the Blues to repeat? You can't even remember. See how these predictions are a bunch of bunk?
Right. But I know I had
anything.
Florida, and I predicted that. But it's the same thing. You're trying to predict who's going to be hot out of the gate, who's going to be healthy, who's going to have chemistry. All of those things, all of the trends we were seeing, the Oilers getting hot and playing well, Vegas getting hot. Well, you go sit for 6 weeks or 8 weeks, and all of a sudden, that chemistry is gone. You got to build that up again. So who can get going at the beginning of the year? Chicago had been rolling a little bit. If they had an opportunity, they might be contenders. They're too far out of it to be considered, but I can see how it would be the hardest to win.
Boys, before we move on to point 3, can you put that comment up from Chris Schrader? You just had it up. I'd like to read it live. And, of course, our audio listeners can't see it, so I'll read it. Good morning, guys. I'm watching from my semi in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I hope the NHL comes back, and hopefully all other sports will follow suit, just like it happened when it all shut down. Keep up the good work, boys. Thank you, Chris. Thanks for checking in and watching from your semi in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. We're truly international. They're not closing the borders for us.
No.
Point 3. And the one that everybody's asking our opinion in the last 24 hours on, and that is Anthony LeBlanc jumped ship from the Atlantic Schooners to the Ottawa Senators. Fascinating to me because I love the business of sport as much what goes on off the field or ice as on. So this is a guy that, along with Gary Drummond, they were the owners of the Arizona Coyotes. That's where I met them and spent quite a bit of time with them in Phoenix. They then sold the team, tried to start this Schooners thing, and as of yesterday, LeBlanc pulls the pin and goes to the Ottawa Senators. What's the immediate question? It's, does this end the Atlantic Schooners thing? And by the way, nobody really knows the answer to that because league people are texting me yesterday saying, these guys, what does this mean? Is it up? I would say this, and I'll say it to you, what does it look like? Because we've said it many times on this show. Usually what's really the case is right in front of your face. The guy pulled the pin. He was the cornerstone of the whole thing. He wanted to be the front man. He was doing all the interviews. He was doing the meetings with the government. And he's gone now to the Ottawa Senators. And they're saying, if you read the story, which appears at rodpedersen.com, that he's still going to work with the Schooners as he transitions to the Senators. Sure. What these guys say and what actually happens tend to be two different things. Now, I like Anthony. He's been very engaging to me. He's been on every interview request I've asked. He's been on the show. Hey, they're great guys. I just want to say or see the results. What you said was going to happen, where is it? Whether it's with the Coyotes, whether it's with the Schooners, where is it? And Gary Drummond, know him pretty well. Fantastic guy. I just don't think he's prepared to lead this project of getting the Atlantic Schooners off the ground in a stadium build. I just don't think he's prepared to do it. Now, they said that he is. But no, LeBlanc was the front man, and he's gone. Now, why the Senators? That's his hometown. This is a great move for Anthony LeBlanc. Quite often it goes that way. But they've really left the Atlantic Schooners and the CFL holding the bag here. And it's been years. 2018 Grey Cup was when they had the splashy news conference, the big party at the Grey Cup at Edmonton. 2018. It's now 2020, Darren. That was 2.5 years ago. How many years ahead of that announcement had they put in?
Yeah.
Where's the results? It's a lot of talk. How does it look to you?
Yeah, it doesn't make me think very favorably about the chances of the Atlantic Schooners coming to fruition. Now it feels like, okay, on one hand, the guys coming in to try and get the Schooners to the CFL, it's like, okay, I love it. We're all in on the Schooners. We're all in on the Schooners. But quietly, we're all in on the Schooners unless something better comes along. Because we don't really want to put all our eggs in that basket because we're not really that confident that this is going to be something successful. And the first opportunity that something great comes along. Now, it took the Senators, the NHL, hometown, all these great things to come along for him to jump. So it wasn't just that he would jump at anything, because you guarantee guys like that would have other opportunities. So it took something significant, which does mean that, the Schooners have some credibility there. There is some value, but to just jump means you really weren't all in on the Schooners. You really weren't all in on it. So that makes me wonder, okay, what do the money guys really think of the Schooners or their ability to have success and get to the CFL? It's a big, big hit in the face for the Schooners and football in Atlantic Canada.
I see people are writing in and saying that they don't believe this is the end of the Schooners, and that's cool too. I'm not necessarily saying that it is. I'm saying who's going to come in and who's going to lead this. Because it was Anthony LeBlanc. From everything we saw, he was the one doing all the interviews and at all the news conferences. He was the one, and now he's gone, and he was the cornerstone of the whole thing. And somebody's writing in here saying #Schooners 2025. Sure. I think this first started being talked about in 82, 83. We're going on 40 years of chasing our tail. And by the way, Halifax doesn't even want it. That's the rub of the whole thing. The CFL wants Halifax. Halifax doesn't want the CFL. The NLL and the CPL have gone in there, and they're just lapping the CFL. Right? The Halifax Thunderbirds are the rage of the NLL. They just snuck in and nobody even noticed.
I know. And they're killing it.
Oh, and they're absolutely killing it. Now, they weren't an expansion team. They were a relocated team. I get it. I'm just tired of the talk. It's been years. And I just don't mean since the 80s. I mean since this group has been trying to launch the CFL in Halifax. It's been years, and there's no progress that I can see. So come on. I was born at night. It wasn't last night. Point 4, the website The Grueling Truth, which tags us in all their posts, which I appreciate, did a list of the top 10 Grey Cups, and I just wanted to make a note of this. Who do you think was the number 1 Grey Cup of all time?
Oh, wow.
On their list. Did you see it, Clark?
I saw it.
You saw it?
On their list? So it won't be 89.
Yeah, not your list. Their list.
Won't be 89?
It was 89.
Was it? Okay.
It was 1989.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, it was fantastic as a Rider fan watching it in the basement of my cousin's farmhouse in Milestone, Saskatchewan. It was a thrill a minute, right down to the end. It was everything that you want. And it was my team. But I could see how fans of other teams wouldn't think it was necessarily the best. So the fact that they said that it was great. They said the number 2 Grey Cup all time was 2016. Ottawa beat Calgary 39-33 in overtime in Toronto. That was pretty awesome, too.
That was good.
And I stopped counting after point 2. But I will say this, the 2005 Grey Cup at BC Place, Eskimos Alouettes, double overtime. Real run for your money. And I didn't care who won.
Where was that?
And my heart at BC Place. And my heart was racing, and I was there. I'm like, double overtime for a national championship?
Wow.
Woo, baby.
What number on the list?
I didn't even see it.
Oh,
It
yeah.
wasn't top 2. I would hope it was 0.3.
Yeah. I mean, I look at some of the memorable ones for me. The Toronto-Calgary one that we just saw on TSN, that was pretty good. The way it was sealed with the interception. The snow game with Edmonton and Toronto, right? With Eddie Brown.
Downtown Eddie Brown.
Catching the ball off his feet in the snow.
Very good.
That was good. And I look at 95 was good in Saskatchewan with Baltimore and Calgary. Those are the ones I remember the most, in my lifetime following the CFL.
Clark, do we have Shay locked in? Yes. Okay, so I'll just skip through these last 2. So there's the list of the top 10 Grey Cups. My 0.5 of my quick 6 show topic. Are you getting tired of lists?
No. Oh, that's your point?
Yeah.
Or your list?
Just these lists, everybody's lists. I'm kind of getting tired of them. That's all.
And I group lists in with brackets and with you only get to choose 3, and
right.
What Cubs uniforms.
How long can we go on with that?
It's just and everybody does their own version, and it's tiring. So now you're skipping over it. It's cool when it's original.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
0.6, draft stories and draft talk. When it comes to the trades and everything, to me, it gets a little confusing, but it is draft week, so I want to talk about that. Shay Emery, who will join us right after the break. Be thinking of your draft day, Shay, if you don't mind. That's where we'll start asking him what's his draft day memory. Why the hell not? It's draft week. I got some other points that I want to get to. The Bombers launched a T-shirt contest for charity in Winnipeg for food hampers for the needy, I guess, would be the best. The disadvantaged at this time. Bravo, Bombers. Red Black signing Jalen Saunders, giving a weapon to Nick Arbuckle.
Yep.
That's going to help. And 3, The Last Dance. You watched it last night?
Oh, yeah.
It spawned today's Capital Auto Mall Universal Collision Center poll question. Who is the best player in NBA history? I could have answered this before I watched The Last Dance, but I would have voted for Michael Jordan anyways because I watched him. Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, or other. 85% of you correctly pointing out Michael Jordan is the greatest NBA player of all time. 85% on Twitter, 84% on Facebook. It's a no-doubter. And thank God for ESPN and Netflix for putting this documentary together, for proving it.
Yeah.
Once and for all. Shay Emery's next. On the way, Nick Lewis, Sean Bell, and Mark Gregg. It's the Rod Pedersen Show. This has been the Rollout for Flooring Superstore. And it's the Rod Pedersen Show. Facebook Live, coming to Game Plus TV Network, and listen live at rodpedersen.com.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of the Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.